Starting a newsletter business, a $5,000 investment strategy for busy professionals to make them hundreds of thousands, if not millions, if done the way that I'm going to show you. So make sure you're staying to the end to take what I call my $1 trillion tips, because a newsletter is a lot like a book. It is a basic brochure in the beginning that can build some ongoing repetition. But like any membership, and I don't think a lot of you realize this, newsletters and memberships, most people click out of within 90 days, maybe 120. So you have 3 to 4 months to grab this person and have them stay on and hold on forever. There's a few newsletter companies that I know make millions and millions of dollars, but they're in very specific spaces. So we're moving our YouTube channel a little bit to the Ask Loral questions because I want to answer some very clear questions that are coming. And Caroline is on my Ask Loral right now, came into one of my DMs, and she says, I work full time and make over 6 figures. I'd like to start a newsletter business. I'm willing to invest $5,000 with $5,000 to seed the business and drive initial subscriber numbers in order to monetize the business ASAP. Initially, I would be a sole employee working on the business, which is not true. So I like your idea, Caroline. I'm already going to scratch that. You're not going to be a sole employee, and you can work on the content, marketing, etc. Although you want to scale with the remote contractors once profitable in order to make the business sustaining. You have to have a team to start. So already the question, I'm already going to spin it. Doing it by yourself is going to take too long, and you don't know enough yet. I'm just going to say you need more experts than you think. The long-term goal is to duplicate this process and start additional niche newsletters under a publishing umbrella. Love it. Love the whole idea. I'm going to come back to that. Your questions are, what entity is best suited for this kind of structure with multiple brands in the portfolio and contractor employees? And number 2, should I create the entity before I invest any personal money, or is the best way to wait till there's income coming in? We're going to break this down, and I'm going to talk about 3 very specific things answering every part of the question. So I'm going to talk about how to strategically invest $5,000. How do you actually do that and get it off the ground? Inside of that, I will talk about the entity structure and the corporate structure and the sequence of what should be happening. Second, the proven methods to drive an initial subscriber base and monetize quickly. We know how to do that. And I'm going to say we're going to talk about software. We're going to talk about the software stack, and we're going to talk about what you need to be doing and then what you will be hiring immediately. You will not be doing this alone, right? We create team-made millionaires, not self-made millionaires, because you can't do it alone. There's too many pieces to it, especially if you're a 6-figure earner and you have a job, which, by the way, any of you that are 6-figure earners, starting any of these kind of side hustles is what we're known for, and to get that tax down, because any of you making more than $48,000 as an employee, I don't care what country you are in the world, you're overpaying tax. How do you offset that? Is through corporate structure, meaning you have to have some sort of company that you own in your trust in your country. So in America, you would be an S Corp, an LLC, a C Corp, and an LP. So we'll get to the corporate structure in a moment. Last thing I'm going to talk about is just scalability. How do you go from just newsletters that, whether it's 15 a month, 20 a month, 27, whatever that is a month. So let's start with, how do you strategically invest $5,000 to kick off a business that you want to make a minimum of 6 figures, if not moving to 7? Well, first of all, you got to have the right corporate structure, all right? So depending on your country, America has 4 different choices. You can either have an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, limited partnership, and it will be held in trust. The reason for the trust is if anything happens to you, you don't want to end up in probate. So put the trust aside for a moment. What kind of entity? To answer your question, Caroline, I need a lot more information. What kind of content are you going to produce? So if you're in the money financial space, that's a different kind of company than if you're going to do health and wellness and supplements, right? Different kind of business. If you're going to do tutoring or trades training, what are you going to do? The topic matters in the decision of what kind of entity, and it also matters where you live, what state these are all the variables you got to look at, which is why you want an expert. You want our team to assess what kind of entity and what state. Just because you live, say, in California, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, those are the toughest tax states. A newsletter is online. So you could actually base your company with my companies here in Northern Nevada. We have an office. We'll give you a lease. We'll do your all corporate compliance and deductions. And we're going to write and show you how to write off this lovely thing called your phone. So you personally, you don't get to write off your phone, but your company does. So to answer your question, one of the parts was, when do you do it? You do it immediately. In fact, I'm so aggressive about corporate structure and corporate strategy and tax. At 18 years old, you should get your first company and live your life through that company. When your company makes money, you have the legal right to activate 81,000 pages of deductions. If you're just making money, as you are, Caroline, as a six-figure employee, you're making it, you're getting 40 to 50% tax. If you're in other countries like Australia, Canada, other parts of the world, you're getting 50 to 60% tax because they're giving you free healthcare. No, they're not. They're taking it out of your tax. They're taking it out of your paycheck. You're paying for it. It's just not direct to the hospital or the surgery center or the medical center. So when you only make W-2, employee income, it's the highest tax. You make it, you pay tax, you live on what's left. What I'm introducing you to is what we call corporate life, not like living corporate life inside of a corporation. You own the company. You own the company. And so again, Caroline, I can't tell you which state we're going to put it in, what it will be, because it also depends on the topic you pick, like what's the content. So let's just go to that for a minute. You said you want an umbrella publishing company. I love that. So there is a financial firm who has done it the best on the East Coast, and they have a variety. They have a publishing firm, and then under that, they have specialists who focus on stock. A whole nother newsletter's on cryptocurrency now. There's another newsletter that focuses on real estate. So under the umbrella, which is a big company based here in Nevada, in our offices with a lease, then you start those, and depending on where those people are from, depending if you ever go to what's called point and nexus, which is brick and mortar. So if you actually go and you actually have an office, then by law, you're going to have a company in that state. But if you're doing it virtually, it's a very different tax structure and it's a very different choice structure and what you can do. So we're going to leave the entity structure over there for now, because I need you all, if you want a one-on-one conversation and just to talk to our team, you're going to go to the description below. You're going to read the first 3 chapters of my Millionaire Maker book. You're going to follow the Millionaire Maker book with the gap analysis that you're going to read about what it is. And a gap is essentially, where are you? What do you want? And then we have the solutions to solve it, whether it's more income, whether it's assets, whatever you're needing to work on, lower taxes, right? We solve all those problems. So we have a very integrated team that talks together on your behalf. So if you're going back to your $5,000, initial investment, where would I start? I would start with your software stack. So you're going to get incorporated. You're going to have to talk to our team. So again, in the description, you're going to grab the book, do a gap analysis, call our office and do a one-on-one. That'll get you in the queue to actually get the entity and the corporate structure set. So after you read the 3 chapters, do the gap analysis, call our office. We'll get you on the path for what solution you're going to have to get a company. Because you've got to have a company. You want to start from the beginning with the right company. I'll take you through a whole process of getting the right corporate cards. Now you have you and a company with corporate credit. So you have a tax ID number and a social security number, which means you're going to get more money available. So you don't have to just keep it limited to $5,000, because some of that $5,000 is going to be to set up the entity. The next part of that $5,000 is going to be the software stack. You've got to have at least a landing page, like my Ask Loral. If you go to askloral.com, AskLoral, ask a question, make a request. That actually is a great site that you could duplicate. We'll do it for you, where you could ask any question in your newsletter, because you want to know what your subscribers are going to want. All right, so I'm going to get down to the detail of what you need to be doing if you are really the one writing the content. Because right now we're just in the structure. You've got to get an entity and you've got to get your software stack. So you can go anywhere and look for something. Most people are going to charge you $5,000 to $10,000 just to get it set. So for $2,500, you're going to get your landing page up. You're going to get your CRM up. You're going to get your database and your ability to collect money. And then you got to look around and start doing some what I call R&D, replicate and duplicate. Based on the content, I've seen newsletters as low as $7, and I've seen them as much as $700 for the month, depending on the volume, the content, the quality, the depth of the content. So who are you going to be in this newsletter space that's crowded? And what's the topic going to be? So for $2,500, you're going to get up and running. You're going to get your corporate structure up. So for $5,000, and you still have some money left over to run some ads. Right? So that's the base structure, what I call the engines that drive this machine that you're about to build. Your job is to market, do social posts about what you want your newsletter to be. So if you want your Ask Loral version of that campaign, I would start and say, hey, I'm going to do a newsletter. So Caroline, this would be you. You're going to go out on every social channel, just like I go out on every social channel. And you say, I'm starting a newsletter. It's going to be in this area of topics. I'd like to know the top 10 questions you have, or the top 10 issues or things you want to talk about, you want me to talk about in the newsletter. Go go out and get a focus group through social media, whether it's Meta, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, any of the channels. You want some feedback about your newsletter before you go spend money getting it out. You're going to have to do some price testing. And then once you have a rhythm of what you want, then you're going to put some ad spend on it and crank it up. So your job is going to be a lot like mine, Caroline. You're going to be producing social media content, and you're going to be responding through a series of next offers. So once they sign up, you may want to give them a free newsletter first. Then you might want to sign them up for 3 months, and you give them the best value when they sign up for a year in advance. And then you got to do some revenue modeling. So how much do you want to make? So for you to get to $10,000 a month, divide by 4 weeks, that's $2,500 a week. Divide by 5 days, that's $500 a day. So how many newsletters for $500 a day are you going to sell? Then I'm going to have you start looking at supplemental growth. So other ways to drive more revenue is additive. So instead of going a variety of newsletters in different niches around one umbrella, you may want to go out 2 or 3. If they're one category, like if I was doing it, I would do tax, investing, education, and how to make money. Those would probably be the 3 under an umbrella. Different newsletters because they're very different strategies. But I have the exact system called Ask RMS. So Rapid Marketing Systems is our $2,500 a year process to help you get up and started. You can shop as much as you want to any other social platform or to any other CRM platform, and you're not going to find what we'll produce for $2,500 for the year to get you up. And then you'll have corporate structure and you'll have some ads. That's where your money is going to be spent on the $5,000. That's how I would spend it to get up. But then it's all up to you. You've got to do the posts. You've got to do them on a regular basis. Our team will teach you that. For those of you interested in that rapid marketing system, go to Ask RMS, which is ASKRMS.com. It'll give you a quick video showing you what it is and what you could have. And you'll call our office and sign up and we'll get you going. So with the right software stack, which are my campaigns, which work forever, we're going to get you up and making money as fast as we can. Now, how do you go to the next phase, which is how do you grow this into a 6-7 figure business? Before I say that and tell you those strategies, I want you to subscribe to this channel. If you are not here already, on a daily basis, subscribe, click the notification button, and I want you here every day. We have journals. You can grab them in the description below and be here learning with us. I do an intensive. It's called the Millionaire Intensive once a month. Teaches you what I'm talking about with corporate life. And I put you into a marketplace for over 3 hours with my people where you could just sell them stuff. You get a focus group. You get to find out, Caroline, what topic is the #1 newsletter request right now. There are so many issues going on in the world, so you have such a big range. You want to find what you're comfortable with, #1, what you know the most about, so you can actually produce some really great content. And the only thing I'm going to say is be very careful and cautious if you're going to use ChatGPT or some AI tool for all of it, because you got to edit and actually, I'd say, validate that the content's accurate. There's a lot of people getting kicked out of schools, losing their law degree, losing their accounting licenses because they're not editing and checking the work of what they asked the AI systems to do. So just be very mindful and careful out there on your own. So again, once you have your software stack, your entity structure, corporate credit cards, we've got your base. Now it's time to load it up. So when I'm talking social posts, we'll give you the amount and which channels you will need to be posting 3 times a day, 5 times a day, the amount of engagement you need to do, and you're going to need some free offers. Maybe again, you give them a free newsletter to get started, or you give them some articles to get started to see what their interests are, because you're going to have to bring them in, know that they're being heard on the content that you're going to produce. You produce the content and you deliver on time and regularly. The biggest problem we see in not only newsletters, but just social media is the inconsistency. You post 1 or 2, 3, maybe 5 days a week, and then we don't see you for another month. So it's the consistency of the post. It's the volume of it. It's also doing a lot of affiliates. Most of the growth of my company was working with people who had already been way more successful than me. I mean, from Bob Proctor, Mark Victor Hansen, Ron LeGrand, Keith Cunningham, Sharon Lechter, you name it. I have partnered with all of them. So they've endorsed me to their database, which then their people click into my list, my newsletters. And I just do a weekly regular and newsletter, but we just do it free, more updates and education, because we do such a depth of education. But if you're going to do, I'm going to use Harry Dent as one of, I think, the world leading newsletters, longest standing financial newsletter, but it is meaty content. It is depth of content. and annual subscribers. I mean, probably people have been there for 5, 10 years. Now, how do you actually scale? To my point number 3, how do you really grow it? You've got to add in some workshops. You've got to go online. You got to invite your entire newsletter subscription group base to something. There's certain social channels like Instagram where you could have a whole VIP group that actually subscribe to unique content that's in addition. So you probably want to stay very digital in your newsletter. Mailing's a whole nother price point and a whole nother structure, but that's up to you if you want to get to that. I wouldn't get to any of that in the beginning. I would go all digital, make sure it's clean, make sure you're really hearing people, deliver the content they want, add in, like I have, my Millionaire Intensive, add in a monthly event. And then maybe you offer one-on-one coaching, consulting. Maybe you go retreats. Again, I don't know what topic you're looking at, Caroline, but your entity and the CRM, the software stack, are your number 1 and number 2. So I teach it like that. I always say they're the top engines you ever have to start. Then once we get that foundation, you're testing, you're actually getting some subscribers. And I would do like a pre-launch phase. Get some testing. We have coaches that will walk you right through this that know how to do it in their sleep. They've done it many times for me. And then we'll get you up to some revenue. There's no reason you can't create a 6- and 7-figure business from a $5,000 investment. But you have to do exactly what we say in the order we say it. It's called sequencing because it's doing the right thing at the right time. So if you've enjoyed this, please be here every day. There's content here every day for you to consume. You can go to the search bar, pull up a playlist of whatever content you want to consume, get your kids consuming it, and get a team. And that would be us. So again, grab the book, do a gap analysis, call our office, let us help you get started for less than $5,000 or right at $5,000. Let's go to 6 figures. You can easily do that in a year. But again, it's the sequence and the pace, and it's the consistency on your side of making sure you deliver, because we will always deliver on our side. It's great to have you. We'll be back tomorrow.